Hey guys, Kyle, the Death Knight of Anime here, bringing you my review for One Piece chapter 993. And, ooh boy, like, honestly, this chapter is like one of those where you're like, if this is the kind of shit that Oda's pulling in this chapter, um, what the hell does he have planned for next? Let's see have planned for chapter 1,000. Like this is one of those chapters that where the where everything that happens in it is just so insane that you think how much more insane is it going to get like 7 chapters from now when he finally reaches the penultimate 1,000? That's my question right now. Um, so okay, right out of the gate, first thing I want to talk about are those first 5 pages of Wano celebrating the Fire Festival. And it's a very simple, happy scene, but I've come to learn that usually when it takes a moment to focus on stuff like that, that it usually means something is going to go terribly wrong very, very soon. And I think we can and should expect the samurai to start losing ground against Kaido within the next couple chapters, if not next week. But yeah, when things usually start off in a very happy and joyful way, when it comes to Oda, that's usually an indicator that things are expected to go south very fast from here. And oh boy, oh boy, did they go fucking south in this chapter. Because yeah, on that note, on that note, holy fucking shitballs. I think we might have just had our first casualty in the form of Kiku Nojo. I mean, from what we see in this chapter, it's only his arm that got severed, but yeah, ever since Kiku and Izo were introduced as brothers, I kind of had a feeling something tragic was going to happen to one of them. And just based on that close up on Kiku's eye, he's either going to be in very critical condition or dead very soon, which I never wish death on characters, but with the way this chapter played out, and the way and what happened to Kiku Nojo in this chapter, with him basically getting hit directly by basically a wind slash, um an invisible slash or whatnot. I do hope in this case it's the latter that she ends up that he ends up dead, because one thing at this point, I think that people look like pretty much like the fan base specifically definitely needs to see is our consequences on the side of our heroes right now. That even if they succeed, there is still going to be death, and some there is still going to be death. And I think Kiku Nojo's death is kind of a key point that really needs to be reinforced. That yeah, even though things are different, that there are still going to be consequences. And I think Kiku Nojo is kind of a death that needs to happen in order to reinforce this. Um, and yeah, in with that note, like I said, invisible slashes. That just make things supremely fucking complicated. Like that, I don't know how with the whole wind slashes thing being thrown in. That's one of those things where you're like, okay, even if Luffy, that's one of those things where you're like, okay, even if Luffy manages to make it to Kaido, how the fuck is he gonna beat Kaido with so many tricks up his sleeve? Like he's gonna have to avoid that on top of Fire Breath. Just so much about Kaido seems just invincible. um, with that said, I do feel the need to kind of throw my 2 cents in on something that never came to my attention, which is that supposedly last week's chapter left the fan base extremely divided on how they felt about the battle between Kaido and the samurai, which I already laid out why that battle worked in order to, but worked in last week's chapter, and definitely in this chapter. I think a lot of those criticisms have been levied. I think a lot of those criticisms have been debunked. I think. But in order to address the criticism people have about why specifically the Akaze and Nine were basically damaging Kaido so easily, well, it's really just a simple explanation where basically Ro was already built up from the very early on, and very much early on in the series, from the very beginning from stop Odi Archipelago, when we were introduced to Rayleigh, and everything we're seeing now is more or less just an expansion on what it's like the expansion on that. It's an even more further expansion on what Armin and Haki is capable of when basically combined with Ro. And it's kind of like in the similar vein of how the future sight thing with Katakuri is an expansion on what observation Haki is capable of. Now, in terms of and in that sense, everything works if you really look at it from that perspective. Now, in terms of addressing the very odd criticism that the Yakuza 9 can kill Kaido with Ro, again, I've got no clue where the hell that came from, because as we see between last week and this week, they're doing little more than surface level damage, showing us that their mastery of it is very minimal and best. And if anything, everything they've done is just give Luffy weak spots to take shots at when he faces Kaido. And again, it's like I said, this again, I feel that with what happened in this week with the whole invisible slashes and Kikunojo taking a pretty big hit, I think that has pretty much debunked. I think what happened in this chapter is pretty much debunked any of that criticism that they can pretty much very easily kill Kaido with this, because yeah, the motherfucker just kind of he either mortally wounded or killed Kikunojo. So yeah, I think that pretty much throws out any chance of an easy victory or easily killing Kaido out the window right now, because the motherfucker has proven in this chapter he's called Kaido the Beast for a reason. He's a motherfucking beast. He's got power that's very, very power. He's got power that's kind of invincible or nearing invincibility here. Like seriously, even if they did damage him, it was surface level at best, as we see. But like I said, if anything, they're just giving Luffy weak spots to take shots at when he faces Kaido. But really, that's about it. And like I said, just based off this chapter, even when Luffy does face Kaido, it's not going to be easy for him either, because even if you take out everything that happened in this chapter and how everything that happened in this chapter, he pretty much Kaido pretty much just proved that he's not going to go down easily. It doesn't matter how powerful someone is. It's going to be a pretty hectic fight for Luffy, honestly. And like with Luffy, it's kind of one of those things where right now it's at a point where we don't know what kind of level of strength he's at in terms of his use of Ro with Harmon and Haki. So as of right now, it's kind of one of those where we have to necessarily assume that however much damage the samurai have done to Kaido and whatever weak spots they've exploited for Luffy to take advantage of, it's still going to be a very tough fight for Luffy, because he probably doesn't have as much control as we think over his use of Ro himself. So yeah, it's one of those things where one thing I've always found when Oda tends to write these final battle fights, he always throws in some kind of hook or something that says that yeah, even despite Luffy getting stronger, that this still isn't going to be an easy fight for him. So yeah, in that sense, yeah, and trust, and like I said, I've already explained it. This battle threw in plenty of hooks in order for Luffy to overcome. So it's not going to be easy. Now, one thing I love about this chapter is how the two-way conflict between Luffy getting to Kaido and keeping Momonosuke alive got ranked up to 11 in this chapter. As on one side we got the Straw Hats trying to keep Luffy from fighting anyone else, which in itself probably isn't easy considering how temperamental he is. But again, with them trying so hard in order to make sure he doesn't fight anyone, it reinforces that yeah, Luffy, even despite how strong Luffy might have gotten, he still can't afford to fight anyone else or get fatigued or anything, because no matter how much, it doesn't matter how much he wants to fight, he can't, because if he does, then it could very easily turn into a repeat of what happened during Luffy's first fight with Kaido. Which, on that note, I also love how this whole thing of them fighting all these members of Kaido's crew with Smile Fruits, it creates some great dynamics between Luffy and the crew, while also giving Jinbei some more shine. Um, on the flip side to that, we also have Shinobu desperately struggling to keep Momonosuke alive, which was only aggravated by King putting out a public bullseye on Momonosuke's head. So yeah, pretty much fuck you for that, King. But it does show how desperate the Beast Pirates have gotten when it comes to killing Momonosuke, which thankfully also leads to Yamato jumping in to run defense against Sasuke and the Animal Kingdom Pirates Armored Division, which first, thank God Yamato's finally doing something, because I was getting a little, I'm not gonna lie, I was getting a little frustrated. So to see her kind of like jump in and actually run defense for Shinobu and for Momonosuke, kind of glad on that. But doing something. But between these two conflicts going on in general, I like how we got to see more of the Beast Pirates who have a Smile Fruit, and it really is a testament to show just how creative Oda can get with this concept, because the character designs on the Beast Pirates Armor Division are totally insane, and I want to see how each of them fights. Like the Armor Division is kind of a really insane concept that I want to see in combat. But yeah, guys, that's all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Crunchyroll. Dead Knight of Anime, signing off. Later, guys.